Adventures in Collecting is about toys, but it might not be for your children, especially if you don't like words like or or asshole.
Hey everyone, Toyshiz here, and I just want to wish Adventures in Collecting a very happy 1-year anniversary. Congratulations! You did it! They are the number one news... They are the second best, 37th best toy news source on the internet going today. Hands down, they do a great job. In all seriousness, though, congratulations to you guys. I always enjoy talking toys with you. It's always been a pleasure. Always like what you do. Keep it up, and many, many more years of action figure goodness ahead for you. And until then, I'll talk to you guys soon. Adios.
Are you ready, kids? Get your parents' permission, check your mailbox, and grab your shopping cart. It's time for the Adventures in Collecting podcast.
I'm Eric.
And I'm Dave. Welcome to Adventures in Collecting, where we talk toy news, culture, and hauls,
along with our journeys as collectors. And we're back. Welcome back to Adventures in Collecting. Dave,
Hi.
we're here.
We are.
And holy shit, it's been a year.
Well, we're in different places still.
Yeah, that's still a thing that's happening. But we did it.
We're collectively here.
We have been here, still here. We have been here for a year now.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
Yeah, we have. Who would have
So-
thought? Over a year, actually. It was a year as of recording this past weekend.
Yeah, it's wild. Just wild. Like we committed to this, and we really did it.
I guess I'm not surprised, but I'm impressed.
Yeah, me too.
I'm
So,
impressed.
Good job. Good job from me to you.
Thank you. Good job from me to you.
So,
I've spent a considerable amount of money this past year.
oh yeah, that's the thing that happened. So before we jump into today's episode or this week's episode, this big 1-year anniversary extravaganza for us.
Yeah.
Let's just we'll talk about
Let's guess that toy.
No, we're not doing that this week. We'll talk a little bit about some of the things that we're gonna What's that?
It sounds like a phone.
Should I answer it? I didn't know we had a phone.
I can't hear you, so yes, you should. Hello?
Hey, Eric and Dave. This is Dave from Calling All Creeps podcast, your most insignificant guest, the one who doesn't work for a toy company, isn't famous, important, or loved by anyone. But do you know what I did love? Being on your podcast and talking about little plastic men that we get to play with on our shelves and in our hearts. I love you, boys. To another year, to another decade, how about? Enjoy 1 year. I love you.
Aw,
Thanks, Dave.
well, thanks, Dave. So, I mean, I didn't know we had a podcast phone.
Yeah, it looks like we've got one.
So,
You can call in at a number that doesn't exist, everybody.
so I guess maybe Dave won't be the only person we hear from on today's episode.
I've got a good hunch that we're gonna hear from a few more.
Yeah, I think that's fair.
On today's episode.
So on today's episode, we're gonna talk. We're gonna do our news and hauls because there still has been a lot of news and
a few hauls.
and a few hauls. But then we're gonna take a little bit to kind of go down memory lane and talk about some of the things that our observations throughout year one of the pod, and we're gonna break down in no particular order 5 of our most favorite moments from year one.
Yeah.
So Dave, do you wanna kick us off with some news?
Walter.
Oh, as in Walter E?
No.
Oh, I thought maybe you were going to talk about the Walt Disney 65th anniversary pops that were announced.
Oh, well, we can talk about those too, but I was going to talk about the ringside collectible exclusive Walter.
Oh yeah, no, that was
NXT UK champion Walter.
first time in the line, Walter.
Yeah. That's actually going to be a really cool figure, so.
Yeah, it's a great looking figure. There was a lot of hype behind that release.
Yeah.
They were teasing it on online, leading up to it. So that was really cool. But yeah, in the other world of Waltz, Dave, why don't you tell us a little bit about the 65th anniversary Disneyland pops that are coming?
Many pops across all like locations where you can normally get pops. Everyone's got exclusives. Every exclusive is seemingly kind of sold out very quickly. A couple highlights: there was a Hot Topic Mr. Toad's Wild Ride. The third in the Mad Tea Party collection. It was the Mad Hatter in a Mad Tea Party teacup. You had the Disneyland train. There are mystery minis for the anniversary. There's another Matterhorn. I believe it's Donald in the Matterhorn this time. Just a lot of Disneyland pops. But I think the coolest one is, and this one.
Oh, there's that phone again. Why don't you pick it up this time?
Okay. Hello?
Adventures in Collecting podcast. Dave and Eric. Hey, it's Jeremy Padower. I just wanted to say how much I enjoyed doing the podcast. And boy, you guys are super talented. You're covering all the stuff that matters. And I'll tell you what, your collector base are big fans, and count me as one of them. Thank you so much.
Well, thank you, Jeremy.
The godfather of wrestling
The
figures himself.
Godfather. Yeah.
Calling into the pod. Thank you, Jeremy.
And
That phone is unpredictable. How you never know when it's going to ring.
you never know. It caught me in the middle of talking about something. But yeah, thank you, Jeremy, and thank you again for being on, and we'll talk more about Jeremy later. But yeah, there's going to be actually, speaking of first time in the line things, a Walt Disney pop that comes with Cinderella's Castle, or not Cinderella's Castle, with Sleeping Beauty Castle.
Yeah, super cool. And I think there's another one that comes with Sleeping Beauty Castle. It's Mickey,
Yes,
right? Yeah.
that one's a general release though. The Walt Disney one is a park exclusive.
Yeah, makes sense. Yeah, there's been a ton of pop news as of today, actually. Today, Wednesday, September 9th, as we're recording this, there was a big pop announcement for you that made you pretty excited.
Would that be the It's Always Sunny pops?
Yes, it would.
Yeah, that's gonna be fun. It's kind of one of those licenses that you've kind of sat there and wondered why hasn't this happened yet, and kind of also like the Office ones, where we went from it didn't exist to there are like 30 now. I could see that happening with It's Always Sunny.
That is, but to your point, that's another one where like I'm shocked that it's taken them this long to secure that and get those out.
Yeah.
Any other news in the world of wrestling figures and things?
I mean, we've seen, like, we saw the prototype images for The Rock and Charlotte, Ultimate Editions, whole bunch of prototype images for figures that are coming out, but nothing that we haven't seen nor heard of yet. Walter was the big one.
Yeah, we did also see I guess you could say the final prototype images or near final prototype images for, of course, the Brian Myers and Matt Cardona figures from Super 7, the
Oh
Ultimates.
yeah, of course. Yeah, I thought that we were gonna talk about that separately, but yes, that Super 7 pre-order went up. It is live. It is something that you can still partake in as of listening to this episode. I believe it's through either the 3rd or 4th of October, to pre-order both. It's 45 for each or 90 for both. Um, the packaging that it showed is very cool. Um, the Super 7 kind of ultimate sculpts are cool. Very much looking forward to those. They look great. The fact that they're holding little versions of themselves is super cool. It's their new gear. So yeah, those are definitely going to be awesome, and kind of in the annals of what Super 7 has been doing for wrestling, whether it's the New Japan Pro Wrestling figures, whether it's the Andre the Giant. Those look really cool.
Yeah, I love the fact that they come with little figure versions of themselves too.
It just makes sense.
Yeah, absolutely. Um, Also in the world of wrestling prototypes, are one of the people that we love to follow on Instagram and we love watching stuff. Junk Shop Dog showed off the near final prototype of his Sofubi inspired Bruiser Brody figure.
Yeah, that's going to be a must pre-order once that comes out at a great price too. I believe he was saying it was $30.
Yeah, $30 before, I don't know where he's having them produced, how the shipping is gonna, work out. I know he's based out of Australia, so shipping could be a little hairy. You could be looking at like 20-30 bucks shipping, but I guess we'll see when the time comes. At least
Hmm.
that's here for the US. But it is such a good looking figure.
Yeah, it's really cool.
Um Outside of the world of wrestling and pops, McFarlane has announced 2 more figures for the Mortal Kombat wave. One of them was sort of kind of accidentally leaked in Todd's Kickstarter update. The Shao Kahn figure was kind of chilling on his desk and hadn't been announced yet. And of course, eagle-eyed watchers picked up on that pretty quickly. Um, but the Shao Kahn looks great. That's going to be. I only have 2 of the Mortal Kombat figures. This would be the third that I would get because then I'd have the 3 characters. If they made a Goro, I would consider it. But I have that'll be Johnny Cage, Scorpion, and Shao Kahn, and then I'm good for the Mortal Kombat figures. But they also announced Liu Kang, who looks awesome. Again, definitely looks like a hand painted prototype by the picture they showed. They're both due out in 2021. Um, and then there is also going to be a bloody variant wave of Mortal Kombat 11 figures that'll have an alternate skin for the Spawn Mortal Kombat figure that was such a big hit this year, and it will also have a Scorpion and a. All right, we got another one, Dave. Let's see. Let's see who this one is. Hello.
Hey everyone, this is voice and friend of the pod, Joe Azari, wishing Eric and Dave a happy 1 year of podcasting. I know I'm ready to grab my shopping cart for another great year.
Well, you heard it, folks.
Yeah.
That's voice of the pod, Joe Azari, at Voices by Joe on Instagram for all of your voiceover needs. Thanks, Joe.
Wow, this is just so much fun. I'm very excited to hear who's next.
Yeah, it's crazy.
If there's another call, I shouldn't say who's next. I don't know.
Yeah.
But thank you,
Who
Joe.
knows? Thanks, Joe. We
Thank you
wouldn't.
for being Joe and for doing all of our intros and also for calling in.
Yeah, this pod wouldn't be the same without Joe. So thanks, Joe. Um, yeah. So that bloody wave, that bloody McFarlane Mortal Kombat 11 wave, looks like it's going to be a lot of fun. Kind of, sort of connected to Spawn, I guess you could say. He has a background providing the voice for Spawn for a considerable amount of time, including in Mortal Kombat 11. We're getting a new Keith David figure. From NECA, we're getting the They Live figure.
Yeah, that's really cool. And it only comes with the 400 piece box set that was put out with Shout Factory or Scream Factory and Sacred Bones Records.
Yep. And it is Frank Armitage himself in that purple sweater and the khakis. You can recreate one of the greatest fight sequences in cinema history on your shelf.
Yeah, it's gonna be that's fun. It's a lot of fun, and it's still available, I think.
As of this recording, yes, it is.
Oh nope, no, it is not.
No, oh, it was earlier today. So that's it. It's gone.
Yeah, it's gone,
Bye.
but still cool.
Something else that's really interesting news from today is there was a little bit of a mishap with the release of one of the latest Power Rangers figures in the Lightning Collection from Hasbro. The Dino Thunder White Ranger that was available at Walgreens exclusively was actually missing paint apps from the deco on the helmet, and a lot of people were very upset about it. It was a very, very stark missing thing. Personally, I don't recall this version of the Power Rangers. I'm kind of gone after Mighty Morphin, but as soon as you see the pictures and you see the toy, it's very obvious that something was missed. So they've actually started they're going to make it right. They issued a formal apology and they've set up a website. It is consumercare.hasbro.com. If you go to that website, there's info there on how you can get a replacement helmet for your figure with the correct deco. So, props to Hasbro for doing the right thing there and making that right.
Yeah, for sure.
Um,
Have we talked about PulseCon?
no, we have not talked about PulseCon, Dave. When is PulseCon?
Um, looks like it's the end of September. Was it the 25th and the 26th?
It is. So PulseCon is going to be the 25th and 26th of September, and it's going to feature all of the brands, including some special guests. Rumor and logic has it that this is when some of those exclusives that we saw announced back during the virtual San Diego Comic Con, the Louis Tully set, the Lord Draken set, the various Star Wars sets.
The
Um,
Logan and Professor X.
yeah. This is likely when those are going to become available. They're starting to announce some talent for the event. Ernie Hudson will be appearing virtually at said event. Um, they have all kinds of special guests lined up apparently that they're going to be announcing as we get a little bit closer. But it should be really exciting because all of their virtual events have been an incredible amount of fun. Throughout this whole quarantine and
All of
being
the
locked
fan
down.
first
Yeah,
videos.
yep. Jackie Jennings will be hosting. So it's going to be exciting, and I know that there's going to be a lot to talk about, a lot being revealed. I mean, if you think about it, there's just some of the brands that they have under the umbrella. If you took even two or three of those alone, you'd probably be good
Yeah,
in terms of content. But
and especially with now New York Comic Con and New York Toy Fair not happening this year, I think you're gonna start to see more of these.
yeah, I mean, this is the way to go. Without these big in person events, and yeah, that's news in and of itself, Dave. Those both New York Comic Con and the New York Toy Fair have indeed both been postponed. They're not officially saying canceled because I believe New York Comic Con is going to try to do some kind of virtual event similarly to how San Diego did, and yeah, and Toy Fair has been postponed, potentially canceled. So it's a big hit for the industry, of course. That's Toy Fair holds a special place in our hearts as well. That's kind of was kind of our first big event. So was we were I know we were both definitely looking forward to going back. So
Yeah,
we'll just have to see what happens, right?
but hopefully in safer times for sure.
Definitely. Um,
Did you want to talk about the Joker?
Oh yeah. I before we split from the news portion, the first of the McFarlane variants have been released. So people are finding the bronzed Joker out in the wild. It's
Well, I
I
would say
mean,
this one differs from the Batman variants
yeah, I
in the
mean,
sense that it's limited.
yeah, it's a limited figure. It goes back to Todd McFarlane has a thing for metallic clowns because this
Well,
goes
I would
back.
just say, variants are a big thing from McFarlane Toys from forever. There's
Yeah,
always been different types of variants.
but do
Um,
you remember the gold clown one figure, the clown from like that series, that first series of figures?
like I remember, I've never actually physically seen it, but it's kind of one of those things that like you've heard about.
Yeah, it's an all gold clown. I believe Zap Comics actually has one,
Okay.
but yeah, it's just a full gold clown. So now we have a full bronze Joker, and it's cool because he kind of looks like if you're thinking in terms of toyetic, all the detail and paint and deco that we're used to seeing on the McFarlane figures is absent of this because it's fully bronzed. But would you open it? You effectively can put him in a pose, and you have a statue, like a bronzed statue of a very good Joker figure. So there definitely is some toyetic value to it outside of it being a thing that that you leave in the box and feel lucky that you have a limited figure.
Yeah. Yeah. It's definitely, this has been kind of the year of the limited figure too.
Yeah, so why don't we move into halls?
We can do that.
Yeah, so do you wanna kick us off with what you've picked up?
Yeah, I'm gonna be jumping kind of all over the place.
It's that phone again.
It's that phone. Um, hello.
Hi, everyone. This is Khalil at casterscorner.com and the Cornercast podcast. I want to congratulate Dave and Eric on making it 1 year with the Adventures in Collecting podcast. They are one of my favorite toy podcasts to listen to. I look forward to seeing what they have coming in year 2 and really can't wait to work with them some more because they've been great partners and collaborators, and it was great meeting them at Toy Fair. They're great guys. So, Dave, Eric, congratulations, and look forward to many, many more years.
Khalil.
Khalil, that was awesome. Thank you.
Yeah, well, we like, no joke, we would not be where we are doing this with the ease in which we have kind of settled into a groove without some of the advice from Khalil and Caster's Corner. He's wonderful. He invited us on his show. He really kind of showed us the ropes when we were at Toy Fair, and he had no idea who we were. I had recognized him, um, and yeah, super nice. Thank you so much for the kind words, man. Um,
So,
yeah,
so did,
where were we?
so I was talking about stuff
Yeah, and things.
and
Your
things.
hauls. That's right. So let's dive into what you've been picking up.
I mean, it's been a while since we've talked about hauls. Um,
Two
there's
weeks.
there's a whole episode or a blog post and all sorts of stuff about the AEW figures, but I finally got the 5 that are available. Cody, Chris Jericho, the Young Bucks, and Kenny Omega. Um, and you can find out more about that story on our website.
Yes, you can.
Let's see, what else did I pick up? I picked up some stuff recently. More recently, I got the Target exclusive Galaxy's Edge pop droids to go with my DJ Rex. I got CB6B and the R5 unit.
Very cool.
I believe I'm sorry, he's an M5R3. He's an R3 unit.
Yeah, those are really cool. I actually had an opportunity to see them. I caught them on a restock at Target. just earlier this week.
And I also went a little Star Wars crazy that same day. I picked up um got myself a little ready a little early. But it was very difficult to find last year, so I wanted to get it this year. The Lego Star Wars Advent Calendar.
Yes,
Um,
very cool.
Once again, another Porg, but also Darth Vader in an ugly Christmas sweater. So I thought those alone were worth the pickup. Stay tuned. There might be some content revolving around that when the time comes.
Oh, the ever growing box of or pile of boxes that need to be unboxed.
I also got the Resistance ITS transport. It is basically the vehicle you're in Rise of the Resistance. From the
Spoilers.
parks. Well, it's what it's labeled as, so
I know.
it is.
I'm just being bitter.
Um, so those were awesome. I picked up a couple other things. And by I mean, well, I picked up actually one of them. I got from the Basic Series 110 Mike Kanellis. More likely than not, the only WWE figure he's going to have. I also picked up, and of course by I mean Eric, picked up the running change for Ravishing Rick Rude, the Elite 77, the SummerSlam series. He is not wearing the robe. The robe is packed aside, therefore, no kind of markings all over Rick Rude from the robe.
Yeah, he's not headed. He's not headed to Davy Jones' locker with the black spot all over him like the like the original one.
We also got Elite 78 Randy Orton, Kofi Kingston, R-Truth, Drake Maverick, and Naomi. So pretty much got that series, and they all look fantastic. They're all great figures. I'm really very much looking forward to the rest of those New Day figures. I believe they're in. Are they in 79 or 80? I want to say they're in 79.
I think you're right. Dave, hang on a
Yeah.
second. Something weird is happening. My
Oh,
computer's making. Hang on. What is this?
Alert! There is an incoming message from the Saurian 2. Prepare to receive. Do you wish to hear the message?
yeah.
Yeah.
Hey guys, this is Yuma, your favorite intergalactic professional wrestler and toy collector. I just want to shout out to the AIC podcast, Adventures in Collecting. Congrats on 1 year of a fantastic podcast. Dave and Eric are great guys, and it's a great listen. So never stop listening and never stop collecting.
Whoa. Intergalactic message.
An intergalactic phone call. Nice.
Damn. I wonder how he got my IP. Huh. Thank you, Yuma. That was
Yeah, thank you. Very much an episode that holds a special place for me. That was my solo interview episode. So that was a lot of fun. I'd definitely love to have Yuma back on with both of us. That would be awesome.
Yep. If yeah, such a fun episode. He's a great dude. So thank you, Yuma, for calling it.
Just generally one of the best dudes. Or genuinely one of the best dudes. But also generally.
Yes, both of those things. In terms of other stuff you picked up, did you happen to see that link I sent you? Because I sent you Spin Master actually made a blue and gold Batman.
I saw that. That looks really cool. I actually have Spin Master Batwoman, which I've picked up. I may pick that up. I'm trying to. What I'm going to do with those is really want to limit myself to one of somebody.
Yeah.
Because otherwise there's there's 60 Batmen.
Oh,
like
the maker help me, man, because I've fallen and I can't get up.
but yeah, I'm really trying to kind of be good in that regards,
I'm
or
just
in that
thinking
regard.
of I'm just thinking of once you get a proper display space, how cool it would be to have like just like 3 blue and yellow Batmen.
Well, I'm not going to put them together. I'm going to put them with what everything else is.
Yeah, that's true actually, because you have enough of it's not like you only have a Batman shelf. Okay, fair enough. I think you could skip. I think you could skip.
Yeah. I mean, I found the Captain Marvel Lego poly bag.
You did.
Yeah.
And I'm proud of you because you only bought 1
No, I bought 2.
or bought 2
Yeah.
instead of buying like the whole
I
case of
instead
them.
Well, I didn't buy 3. That's that's the important thing. I got 1 for me, I got 1 for my girlfriend, but I didn't get 1 for your daughter.
That's yes. Thank you.
And
Appreciate it.
not because I didn't want to, mind you.
Yes, no, because we're under explicit instruction.
And to be fair, she has the Captain Marvel ship that came out, so
Yes, which is very frequently played with and has been put together and taken apart many times at this point.
yeah.
So that's gotten some mileage for sure. Um,
I
anything
got a
else, Dave?
couple I got a couple of the new Nightmare Before Christmas pops. Um the Sally, the Sandy Claus, and the Jack. I got the Funko Shop exclusive Zero Artist Edition.
Oh, you were able to get that.
I was
Awesome.
able to get that.
One of the online ones. Yeah, I you said Oogie Boogie and I started thinking of or you said Santa Jack, excuse me, and I started thinking of my neighbor around the corner already put up his Halloween decorations, so like props to him.
Oh
For,
yeah, I
for
think I saw that when I was getting the stuff from you the other day. Oh, and I got the Freddie Blassie from you. You found classy Freddie Blassie.
I had a really good run with wrestling figures for you the past 2
Yeah.
weeks. I found like everything. I think the only thing I missed were the Naomi chase and the Rick Rude chase.
Yeah, which I may want the Naomi one because it's different enough. The gear. The Rick Rude though, I was kind of whichever one I found first, to be
Yeah,
honest.
I don't think you need both of those. The one with the Intercontinental Champ belt like on his pants is the design on it is really cool, but I really don't think you need both. I think you'll be all right. So I had I guess you could say depending on which side you look at it, the misfortune or the fortune of having a bunch of my pre-orders hit all at the same time. So, so I had stuff that was delayed from Amazon, I had stuff that came early from Amazon, and then I had stuff that was like right on time. So I got the Amazon exclusive Wolverine from X-Men Origins Marvel Legends. I got the Domino Marvel Legend. We had spoken previously about Cable, but I recently had picked him up. Um, the figures from the retro Spider-Man wave that I had pre-ordered on Amazon all came in together. So Spider-Man, Green Goblin, and the I'm just gonna call it the Gwen Stacy figure because it comes with Mary Jane's head, but she never wore the clothes that are at least as far as I can remember in the cartoon, never wore that outfit. I seem to always remember her being in like a yellow sweater with jeans, not like a gray or a green trench coat. So like I think it's kind of weird that they made a Peter Parker's girlfriend 2-pack kind of sort of. I guess you could be having a nightmare. He could be having a nightmare where Mary Jane is wearing Gwen's clothes, but it's that one's a little strange to me. But those 3 figures, the Green Goblin, the Spider-Man, and the Gwen, they're amazing. That Spider-Man figure is figure of the year candidate. The new body that he's on, the articulation, the paint, just the poses you can get with that thing. It's unfucking believable. It is a wonderful, wonderful figure. Same goes for the Foxverse X-Men Origins Wolverine. I actually got a chance to show that one to you. I'm just completely blown away at how
Yeah,
good that figure
the
is.
new pinless design is very good.
Yeah, between the pinless joints and the arms and just the quality of the face sculpt on for Hugh Jackman is just it's like leaps and bounds. It's incredible. Like you look at what they're doing now with and I'm staring at them right now with Stanley, for everything from like Stanley on. So like I'm looking at Stanley, I'm looking at Josh Brolin, Zazie Beetz, Hugh Jackman. Like they look like little real people. And at a 20 or with the Fox ones, $25 price point, it's just unbelievable the value that you're getting. I've also been I think I have a plan now for the Spin Master figures. What I'd like to do. I'm not getting any of the non-Batman ones, and I have a Batman, a Nightwing, and a Robin, and they're great. I actually have several Batmen now, but I think I'm just gonna focus now on getting the rest of kind of like the core Batman villains. I picked up the deluxe King Shark. Um, because that's the only King Shark figure that has the great white shark head. All the other ones have a hammerhead head, and I don't recall him uh, having that. And I've also been watching the Harley Quinn show on the DC network, or soon it's going to be on HBO Max.
It's
But
on HBO already. Yeah.
is it?
Yeah.
Good. I can let that subscription go and just worry about HBO Max. But yeah, King Shark is one of the best characters on that Harley Quinn show. He's hilarious. So I needed the figure. But I also picked up the Batmobile for those figures. And I picked up from Costco, which was super weird because it's been such a long time since I've bought a toy from Costco. I picked up the 12-inch scale Batmobile that's supposed to go with like the shampoo bottle Batman. I actually did an Instagram live video opening it. It scales wonderfully with the 7-inch DC multiverse figures from McFarlane. So whether it's for your toy photography or display, if you have a display that's big enough, the deco on that Spin Master Batmobile is awesome for that $20 price point. Plus, if you have a little one, they get a Batman doll, a doll-sized figure out of it. And my daughter loves the Batman figure, so it was a win-win. For $20, she got a new Batman, I got a new Batmobile. Friend of the pod who you heard from earlier, actually, Dave P, made a very funny joke as I was unboxing and figuring out how that giant Batman fit in that way out of scale Batmobile, and it is quite like a bat coffin.
It really is. It really is.
Yeah, so that's it was very funny. I also picked up two more Fortnite Legendary Series figures that I was waiting for. I was able to get Beef Boss, the Hamburger Man, and I finally caught Peely on Amazon. He finally came back in stock, so I was able to get Peely. So now I got the sweet banana dude with a shotgun. Can't really It's that phone. I'm gonna pick this one up.
Okay.
Hello?
Yo, what's up, guys? It's Mike DeCamp, just calling in to say happy 1-year anniversary. I'm so excited for you guys. I'm so surprised by all the growth. Well, not surprised. You guys are awesome dudes. The show is amazing. Thank you so much for your support on the lines and on the work. And here's to many more.
It's like he knew I was talking about Fortnite figures.
Yeah.
Yeah, so thank you, Mike. Mike's the only person so far who's been on the show twice. It's our first repeat guest.
Yeah, our first 2-time guest. Very cool.
Yeah, so thank you, Mike. Keep making those Fortnite figures and make me houseless, please. So I think that's everything. Oh no, you know what? I did pick up one other thing. I picked up from Five Below. Five Below. So Star Wars announced the kind of death of the 5 POA line, the 5 points of articulation, like for kids line. They're doing a couple more sets to kind of like celebrate the saga, as they're calling it, and they're retiring that line, which is sad. That's what the figures have always been up until very recently. They're focusing on the vintage collection, so collectors of that scale will still get new figures, which is still great. So hope is not hope is not completely lost. But there was towards the end of, I want to say it was The Last Jedi. Was that The Last Jedi or Solo? Somewhere around that time. There was a Wampa and Hoth Luke 2-pack that came out. It was in the same wave as the repack of Balatik and the Rathtar and Enfys Nest and her speeder. And I never saw the Wampa Luke 2-pack, and that was the one I really wanted the Enfys Nest one. I already had 2 Rathtars and Balatik, so I was good there. But I really wanted another Wampa because the deco on this one looked great. It had like blood, it had a removable arm. The Luke looked great. I could never find it. I walked into Five Below, looking for something completely unrelated. I think I was looking for like pool supplies, actually, like a pool noodle or something. And I saw a full rack of them for $5. Like I'm telling you, Dave, this shelf was like 10 deep of these fucking things. And I had never seen them at retail before.
That's how distribution works for a lot of stuff.
I walked up to it and actually I full disclosure, so bought it in an instant. Turned around and walked out of the store and started walking towards Costco because I was at the Five Below out in Wayne, New Jersey. Got about halfway over to Costco to meet my wife and my kid, and I was like, fuck, I forgot to get the pool noodle. And I was already too far, and it was raining, so I got a pool noodle on the way home. Don't worry. But I didn't get it in that trip. But yeah, it was just mind blowing. And they also have been carrying. I didn't pick them up, but I posted a picture of it on Instagram. Which, by the way, if you are not following us on Instagram at AIC_podcast on Instagram and Twitter, I posted pictures of those Playmates
Actually,
Ninja Turtles.
I have questions if you're listening to this and are not following us on Instagram. They begin and end with how.
Yeah, that's a good
Like,
point.
how did you find us? I would love to know.
Please follow us on Instagram and let us know.
And then tell us.
I do while we're not to go off on a complete tangent here, but something I did want
Especially
to.
after I just did. So
Yeah, but you just reminded me of something. So we had somebody reach out to us, Dave, at TSP_Crow_AD reached out to us, and he just wanted to say, much love. Your podcast is awesome. Much love from Australia.
well, thank you.
Right? How cool is that? And I'm not gonna do an Australian accent. I'm not gonna make an Australian joke about anything.
I applaud you for making both of those decisions.
Thank you so much. I mean, it's crazy to think that our podcast has reached somebody in Australia. Like, it's just a wild concept to oh,
Hello?
This is always ready, Matt Cardona, aka the $1,000 Broski, aka the Michael Jordan of wrestling figure collecting. And I just wanted to say congratulations to Adventures in Collecting, the other podcast, not the major wrestling figure podcast, but the other wrestling figure podcast. Check it out every single week. Congrats, guys.
Wow. Thank you.
remember that time
Thank
that
you,
we were
Matt.
remember that time that we were always ready?
Yes.
I think we'll talk more about that a little bit later.
Yeah.
Um,
The time I got you out of bed.
oh my god. It's like, and turned around and looked at my phone. I was like, wait, what? Who's what?
This is happening. Wake up.
give me 5 minutes. By the way, speaking of Matt Cardona, well, Matt, thank you very much for
Yes.
the
Thank
kind
you, Matt.
words. What they are doing right now with that figure federation,
The FWF.
the FWF, those episodes on Wednesdays
They're awesome. I enjoy it.
are hands down my favorite thing in podcasting right now. Like, without a doubt, I get so excited for Wednesdays when I'm sitting at my desk working to get that notification on my phone that the next episode of the FWF is ready. Like, I get so excited and when it comes to Matt's turmoil, we're definitely team turmoil. I could listen to that man yell for hours.
Although I really did like the last Thrill Zone and this Thrill Zone were my two favorite Thrill Zones so far. Full
Yes.
disclosure.
No shade on Thrill Zone. We do not think it is the NyQuil Zone. It is a good show as well. I think Mark has it right where it really is like 50-50. I mean, you could go either way. It's really just kind of, for me, I like Matt's energy. That's what draws me to his presentation of his show.
It's very contagious.
Yeah.
But I've been really enjoying Brian's kind of nods to ECW.
Yeah, he's it's so funny how differently they're programming and taking the approach to doing it. It's just it's wonderful. All right. So let's move.
And Mark with the Stomp in Paradise.
Yeah. So why don't let's move out of halls and let's move into year 1, Dave. So when we started this, we had no idea what we were doing. Like, literally, I
One
still don't
might
know
say
if we
we
know.
still don't.
Yeah, I still don't know if we know what we're doing. But here we are. We're a year in. We've been to Toy Fair.
We have.
We've reached people as far as Qatar and Australia, which blows my mind. Yeah, it's crazy. It's crazy it's
I'm
crazy
very
that, like,
appreciative of anyone who listens, wherever you are.
and just the taking this hobby of collecting and displaying toys and taking pictures of them, for me, has become a huge deal. Building a light box and having fun with the posing and watching people like Jay Hernandez and some of the other photographers that we love, like Darth Dondada and Shooting the Galaxy and Bob Joint and all those guys. Which, by the way, if you are not following any of those guys and you like toys, do it at Darth Dondada, at Shooting the Galaxy, at Bob Joint, and at Just Jay Hernandez. They are fantastic. They're like kings of what they do. Meeting the people that we've met, like those those gentlemen and the people that we've had on the pod, has just been an absolute pleasure. Like, an absolute pleasure.
Yeah, I mean, go back to like the Instagram live video from Toy Fair of me talking to Eric from Boss Fight about the legends of Lucha Libre figures. Go back to um just any of the discussions from Toy Fair, any of the clips.
Yeah. And just getting a better insight into the industry and how some of this stuff works. Like,
or even any of the interviews that have been, since day one, of course, but especially since March.
Oh, we got another call, Dave. Hang on, let me pick this up. Hello?
Hey everybody, this is Weapon X Customs. Just wanted to wish the boys over at Adventures in Collecting podcast a very happy first birthday, and here's to many more in your guys' second year. Can't wait to see what you guys come up with.
Weapon X Customs, one of our earliest guests.
Customs.
And a super talented guy.
Yeah.
From the Great White North.
And a great episode. Definitely go back and listen to that, everybody. Go back and listen to every episode from everyone who's called in thus far. And who may call in later.
Yeah.
Because one of the things you'll see is kind of like the evolution of the show, but also just some really incredible stories. Just some really great chats and finding out just more about kind of the people that bring us these things that we love, Like, I know we wanted to talk about the year. Did we really kind of, maybe in the first episode or maybe early on in one of the interviews we might have mentioned it, but did we kind of ever really kind of talk about how this happened?
Dave, I don't think we did.
I feel like this would probably be as good a time as any to talk about it.
Yeah. I mean, this show,
We might have talked about it on the Matt Cardona episode
yeah.
because I think it came up just because of
Well,
like
we have
their
our influences, right?
they're them being an influence.
I
Matt and Brian.
mean, toys are something that we, the two of us have been passionate about for forever. I mean, some of my earliest memories, and not to get overly sentimental and mushy on you though. Some of my earliest memories with the age gap between us when I was very little were the fact that you would play with toys with me. Like
Mhm.
I wasn't cool enough to hang out with you and your friends when I was, the little annoying brother. Um, I got in the way, but like when it came time to take out the wrestlers or, especially the wrestlers, but there were other figures too, like, whether it was Batman or whatever, you know, that was when we sat down and like we weren't at each other's throats as kids to as brothers can be sometimes, and
Mhm.
like that's how we were playing, and like those, like I said, those are some of my earliest memories. And when I pick up those toys again, especially those Jack's Bone Crunchers, like I'm right back there. Like the smell of those figures, I know it's like a weird thing to say, but like the smell of them, that plastic, the way that they feel in your hand, it's just, I don't know. It's something that means a lot to me, and I love watching, my daughter play with her toys. I love seeing this incredible community that's blossoming on Instagram. Where people are taking photos of their toys, and like they have these photo challenges, and they're just doing so many incredible things with toys. It's awesome. So like we're clearly not the only people that are passionate about this. The people that make
Mhm.
the toys are passionate. There is this huge community. But we've been talking about toys and the culture around them for as long as I can remember. Like, I mean, we're talking like decades.
Yeah, and it's whether it was kind of going to Toys R Us's back in their KBs and asking if they have more in the back, or just for example, buying a figure because I wanted it on my desk in college, or you know, finding out that Funko Pops were a thing, and now all of a sudden I have a ludicrous amount of them. To seeing things like retros because they reminded me of the old Hasbro's. Things like that, and just that coming together of it. But yeah, it's I even remember like there would be days where I'd be putting together your bat caves, or coming home from school and booking a week or a month of figure feds.
Yeah, busting out the spreadsheet.
Yeah.
I mean, toys have always been a part of our life. I mean, there's nothing, there's no way around it. And I remember both of us at one point standing in Zap Comics um last summer, so the summer of 2019, standing there talking to Dave P, going like, "Oh, wouldn't it be fun, like to do a podcast about it?" And him just turning around and going like, "Just fucking do it."
Yeah, like I think that was with you, but after we had discussed it, because I think there was just one day where I was just like, "Hey, there's this podcast that's about wrestling figures. Um, we could probably do one about everything else."
Yeah, and that was always kind of the thing, right? Because you have the things that you collect primarily, and I have the things that I collect primarily. And
With
since
very little crossover, surprisingly.
yeah, right now the only thing that's legit crossover is the McFarlane DC Multiverse figures.
Yeah, because you have a couple of pops, but it's nothing. It's everybody who I know or who I is like in my kind of short range inner circle life group the only reason they have pops is because I got them for the most part. With exceptions, of course, but like you have Blink-182. I got you those. Like,
So, toys have just always been kind of this pervasive thing, in our lives, and it just made sense after a while. Dave, you want to get this one?
yeah, I got it. I got this. Hello.
Hey everyone, this is Zombie Sailor from Zombie Sailor's Toys. And I just wanted to take this moment to wish Dave and Eric a very special, happy 1 year anniversary for their podcast, Adventures in Collecting. Congratulations, guys. Many more years to come.
Zombie.
What a guy. What a guy.
Indeed.
If you didn't listen to that episode, that was our the episode right before this, actually.
Yeah, it was last episode.
Man, we got to get him on that show. Yellowstone, right?
Yeah, we gotta get Zombie on Yellowstone.
Yeah, I'm super excited. By the time this comes out, you'll still have a month. So if you're listening to this as it comes out, a month from now, he'll be doing his Case Fresh Mighty Max sale. It's I think it's like in first week of October. So definitely keep an eye out for that. That is
It's actually kind of crazy how that was the name that toy 2 episodes ago.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then we're talking to Zombie about Mighty Max, and now he's, of course we were talking about it because he mentioned that's the next Case Fresh warehouse find.
Yep.
But
yeah, I mean that was really how we got into doing the show was literally just you had mentioned the Major Wrestling Figure podcast, and we had kind of tapped into a couple of friends to see if there would be any kind of interest, and after a couple of people gave us the push, that was it. Here we are. So that being said, Dave, the 5, I don't want to say best moments because I don't want to. It's like I have a kid and another one on the way, so like I can't have a favorite anymore. But let's talk about just 5 really cool moments in no particular order.
And there are a bunch too. Like, everything is an honorable mention. Like,
Yeah.
we talk about how awesome the episode with Zombie was last week, or the episode with Toy Shiz, or the episode with
Brian Volk-Weiss,
Jamie Berard, all these different episodes, or us being on the Corner Cast.
Yeah, there was a lot to pick from.
A lot to pick from, and
I'm kind of getting tired of getting interrupted. Let me pick this up, and then I'm gonna unplug the phone, I think.
Okay.
Hello?
I'm Heather Antos.
And I'm Heather's boyfriend.
Fuck, I forgot what I was supposed to say.
We'll leave it in there. And congratulations on 1 year anniversary. Here's to at least one more.
Oh man.
Oh.
Yeah. By the way,
fuck.
Both of those are getting bleeped out.
Yeah. Oh man. You know what? This works as a perfect segue. The first bit that I want to highlight is our first guest, Heather Antos, current senior editor at Valiant Comics. She was our first guest on the show, which is amazing, and she has such a cool past, and she does such great work, and she does a lot for women in creative industry, and she is such a strong individual, and has this great character, and we love her to death.
She's just an outright awesome person.
Yeah. So early on, and I'm gonna cringe listening to an early interview before I like worked out all the sound kinks and everything. But Heather and I talked about the kind of the dichotomy of girls' toys and boys' toys, and here's a clip from that interview.
Action figures were a very normal part of my childhood. And so in my brain, there really isn't a a wall or a barrier between what's meant for boys or what's meant for girls. That's very clear when you walk into a toy store or a Walmart toy aisle and you see, oh, clearly the boy aisle is the one with Batman and Power Rangers and all of this stuff, and it's black and blue and action, and then the girls aisles all pink. And but again, with Star Wars and the Marvel films and the Wonder Woman and Batman, with all this being in the cultural zeitgeist right now, those lines are getting blurred a little. And I think that is just so cool. Toys are toys. There's no distinguish between what a boy or girl can play with. And I think we're seeing that too with the new films featuring strong female leads, specifically in Star Wars. One of my favorite experiences I had when Force Awakens came out, I was still working at Marvel at the time. And one of the higher ups in creative services brought his 4-year-old son around just to the different offices and to check out Marvel. And so he brought him to the Star Wars office, and I was talking with him, and I was like, asking him if he'd seen the movie, and he said he had. And I asked him who his favorite character was, and he goes, Rey. And his dad goes, he even wants to be Rey for Halloween. And I just thought that was so cool that, here we have the future, basically, and this little kid who doesn't see, oh, this is a girl, I can't like this character because I'm a boy. It's someone who just sees a character doing cool things that he thinks is badass, and so he wants to emulate that.
Yeah, it you know what? Listening to that wasn't as bad as I thought it was going to be.
And by all means, everybody, and I've mentioned this before, if you're new to the show, go back and listen to these because maybe skip the episodes where it's just us. Fine. But if you want to go back and listen to the interviews, they're just it's hearing from just some truly amazing people.
Yeah, for sure. And
also listen to the ones of the both of us, because
you know what, just listen to them all. You can
everything.
You can grow with us. Or maybe we didn't grow at all. Maybe I haven't listened to an episode in months, and maybe we sound the same, and I just think that we've gotten better at it. Who knows?
Are you saying only my hair is what's grown?
Yes. Only your hair. You have that quarantine hair.
Yeah, I do.
Dave, why don't you hit us with a moment? What's another moment that jumps out at you?
Oh, I think one of the cooler moments was an instance where we got to break some news.
Oh yeah.
And actually, I don't know if it kind of broke right after that too for a lot of other people, but I know that it was definitely something that broke with us, and to kind of almost be referenced in a way was really crazy. But of course, we're talking about the episode with an earlier caller, Jeremy Padower, where we talked about a lot of stuff. We talked about Pokemon cards and just kind of, almost like collecting for value in a way. But also, we heard that the UFC figures that were now out were going to be a little bit different. They were going to be in a smaller scale, and that this first run of figures were almost going to be like a different wave because they wouldn't be in the same scale, and they were going to kind of be a series unto themselves as they moved back to that fight scale. for every future wave.
Well, let's hear it from Jeremy.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I'll actually break something with you on that. So, and I think that again, this is about respecting the collector community, and this is about sort of like giving you a behind the scenes peek as to decisions that are made. So, UFC Wave 1, the scale of the figures are not in scale with the traditional WWE, AEW scale. It's not exactly scaled proportionally. They're more like 5.5 inch. And we are going to celebrate that because there are Japanese style figures that are in that scale. So we're going to be calling that like the beta wave or the version 0 wave. And it will be the only wave that we do in that scale. And it will be very limited edition in scope and in availability. And then after that, we're going to be able to go into Wave 1 with the more in scale to the traditional figures. It also gives us a little bit more flexibility in terms of tooling. Like almost everything that we're doing is specifically for the character. But as you know, when you're developing human bodies, and especially when you're developing them more realistically, especially now versus the way we used to, they were a little bit more superheroic scale and size, that you can use parts and pieces, and it allows a much more efficient use across brands. But yeah, there's a little feed for you there. We had something we haven't announced, but it's something that I think will be fun, and I want to give you the rationale as to why we did make that change in the first place.
And I mean, that for me was one of the more surreal episodes. Just because it was like, I can't believe we're talking to Jeremy Padawer right now.
Yeah. When we reached out to him on Instagram via DM, to thank him for being transparent and being super nice and, answering questions and being so approachable. And he was responded in seconds. And then I always float the idea anytime, we get any sort of a response from people in the industry. I always float the idea like, hey, would you like to be on the show? And when he was like, yeah, let's set something up, I no shit, I almost dropped my phone because I didn't like I couldn't believe it was really happening. It was just wild. You know what? Let's stick with Jazzwares, and let's talk about Mike DeCamp. So we mentioned him earlier. He's our first two-time guest on the pod, and he also holds the distinction of being the only guest that has made me cry on during a show, and not at tears of laughter. We've had people that have been pretty gut busting, but Mike's story about his favorite toys that he had as a kid made me, and a couple of people reached out to us, made them real sad too. So let's grab the box of tissues and let's hear from Mike DeCamp.
So my most special piece, that's a tough one, it's probably the Mego 12-inch magnetic Batman with flyaway action. So when I was very, very young, that was something that was gifted to me by my mom. And Batman was something that to this day, I haven't had the experience of making a Batman action figure, but it's high on my list of priorities. So I got this. It was a tremendous action figure, the soft goods cape, a roto head, and Batman and Robin, they had magnets embedded in their hands and feet. And the package had this incredible, almost like psychedelic artwork on it. Please Google it. I love it. And he had this attachment that went onto his back underneath his cape, and you would thread two strings through it, one on the left and one on the right, and then you would tie them off to something. And then by pulling the strings apart on the far end, the figure would slide away from you and appear to like fly away. That was the flyaway action. So I immediately took the figures. I had Batman and Robin, and I took them down to a playground by my house. And I was playing with them on the monkey bars and experimenting with what surfaces were magnetic, surfaces weren't. And I climbed all the way to one of those kind of domes apparatus that you can climb all over. And I stuck the figures up there and I started playing, blah, blah, blah. And I left them there. Like my mom, the street lights turned on and I got the call out the window, get home or you're dead, whatever. And I ran home and I left them there and I lost them. They just, that was it. And so eventually I was able to track them down and I spent, way too much money on them to get the mint in the package. So that's probably the most special piece that I have, because after I lost the action figures, I would literally just look at the box. Like I would just fantasize and check out the package and read it and reread it and hope that someday I would have those action figures again.
I'm not crying again. Not gonna do it. Not gonna do it.
Yeah, it was great to spend time with Mike
twice.
Twice. Well, for me once, but
Yeah.
yeah, it was. I mean, it was awesome talking to him. And it was one of those episodes where we could still be recording it.
Oh yeah, that we could have talked for hours. We could have talked
Yeah.
for hours and hours.
It's we're kind of very lucky to, have been in contact with everybody who has been on our show thus far. But that was just a great episode.
So Dave, who else would you like to highlight? Because I have a sinking suspicion I know who our fifth one is going to be.
Yeah,
I think it might be the same. But
I think so.
Who is your next one?
So I mentioned we'd talk about this before. It's not often that you get a text message from your friend. What's up, Giancarlo?
Yeah, who also, by the way, no, he gets more than a "What's up, Giancarlo." What a guy!
Yeah,
what a fucking guy! We got to get him
Yeah.
on this show, Giancarlo. If you're listening,
I'm trying.
You get your butt on here.
But yeah, I get a text message from Giancarlo after I've had a few margaritas. I was using Terramana, the Rocks tequila, and I get a text message that goes, "What are you doing?" And now, granted, this is what, April, so the same thing everybody else is.
Yeah.
I'm sitting here. Why? What's up? What are you doing? And I'm like, oh, I'm having some drinks. Matt said he'd do your podcast right now. What? And he goes, yeah, he said he'd do it right now. And I'm like, I'm kind of drunk, but sure. Let me see if I could get my brother up. And he goes, what? And I'm like, yeah, I gotta wake Eric up. He has a small child. He goes to bed early. And Giancarlo's like, well, all right, let me see if I can, tell him, like, give it like 5-10 minutes. Sure enough, I send Giancarlo the link to our Zoom. And all of a sudden, there's Matt. And it was one of those things where just the whole idea behind it and just the whole story behind it was one of those things where I wouldn't have thought that it would have happened, but here we are. Like, it's like another surreal moment, like we've seen in the rest of these and what we'll see in number one. And we know that Matt's into Ghostbusters. We know he's into Star Wars. We know he's into Disney. We know, of course, just the history with wrestling figures.
Yeah, he's the Michael Jordan of wrestling figure collecting.
He is. And one of the things that kind of broke was that there was a second podcast coming. He had mentioned that in another interview that had happened,
that day.
That day. Okay. But there was going to be a second podcast, a spinoff, which turned into the FWF that we talked about. But I think the coolest thing was, and it's something that I've heard him talk about on the Major Wrestling Figure podcast since, but simple question: what do you collect that we don't know about? And it yielded a pretty cool response.
Yeah, let's hear it from Matt.
I think my Arnold Schwarzenegger collection is one that people don't quite know about, but I have like different Arnolds from different movies, and whether it be Last Action Hero or a Turbo Man. And it's cool that he's had so many action figures. I mean, because he is, if you think about it, Arnold Schwarzenegger, you close your, I mean, maybe not current day, but like, 80s, early 90s, he is a real life action figure. So it only makes sense for him to be in so many toy lines. So that's one that people maybe might not know about unless they had a full tour of the toy room. The pods evolved so much, and like we announced today on comicbook.com, even though Mark is mad that I did it, that we are going to have a spin-off show in the summertime. So we've been doing the fantasy fig feds on the Patreon, and it's gotten so popular that we are going to turn it into a weekly show. So there's going to be double Major Derek pod.
So cool. So yeah, I was trying to figure out a way to segue into that announcement. So thank you for doing that for me.
Well, I'm a professional, and that's what it is, right? It's like, it's nostalgia, and and I'm not gonna lie, it's fun as hell to do this. And listen, I'm not on the floor playing out these matches. I'm not having Undertaker walk down to the ring, but when I am booking the figures, or booking the matches, I'm actually using the figures. So in that sense, I am playing with them, I guess. And then to do the figure photography, it just I'm not going to get into what we have planned exactly, because Mark will get very, very mad. He's already very, very mad at me. But it's one of those things that I really believe that it might become more popular than the weekly podcast.
So fun fact, Dave, about that episode, something that I have not disclosed. My pajamas consist of a t-shirt and my underwear. So when you woke my ass up, well, I hadn't actually gone to sleep yet. Like, I was at that point where like I was fading, but I was like reading on my phone. And thankfully I was reading on my phone, because my phone would have been in do not disturb and I would have missed it.
I would have called.
So I was reading. I was on Reddit on my phone in bed, and I sleepily rolled over to my wife, and I was like, I have to get up and record an episode of the podcast. And she just went, ugh. And I went, I don't know. I have to get up.
We'll explain later.
I don't have the time or energy to explain this to you right now. She was just like, oh, whatever. And I got up and I like shuffled my feet to my attic where all my podcast stuff is. And like, meanwhile, the whole time, like grumbling to myself, thinking like, there's no way this is really a thing that's happening. I'm going to set all this up and it's not going to work. And like, what's Matt Cardona doing that he has time to do this, right? Like, I'm just thinking like I'm cursing everybody under my breath. And then when he popped up, I was like, oh, we're doing this.
I have to be in a good mood now.
Okay. No, but seriously, that was an incredible moment. That was a super fun episode.
Yeah, it's a good listen. Like, it's a shorter episode, and it came out on it was the first time we had done like weekly for a while, because we weren't expecting it, and we were like, well, this needs to go out like now.
Yeah, we didn't save that one.
That was that, as unplanned as the episode was, the release also was. So it popped up. Everyone's probably like, wait a minute, this isn't next week. What?
I was so awake and energized at the end of the episode that I actually stayed up and edited it right there.
I was sober by the end.
I stayed up and edited it. So not only did I record that in my underwear, I also edited it in my underwear. Fun fact.
Have fun with that one, everyone.
Yeah. You're welcome. So I think, like I said, I think I know where we're going with this one. So, you can go ahead and say it, and I'll agree with you, because I like I said, I think I know where we're both going with. Again, we'll put it as our number one, but in no particular order. What's the last one we want to highlight, Dave?
Speaking of impromptu interviews, have you ever kind of gone to your first ever New York Toy Fair and said, "Hey, is there any chance we can get an interview with Todd?"
In fact, Dave, that is something that I did with you.
And I went, I looked at Eric and I was like, "There's no way this happens." And when the response was, "Can you come back in an hour?" I think that's what it was, right?
It was. Can you come back at 2 o'clock? I'll never
Can you come
forget it.
back at
Can you
2?
come back at two
Okay.
o'clock? He could have said, "Can you stand on your head and piss in your own mouth?" And I would have said, "Sure."
You would have said, "I'll give it a shot." I would have been like, "Nah, I know I can't." I know that's not a thing I can do.
But yeah, the fine folks at McFarlane, after giving us an amazing booth tour at New York Toy Fair, I asked their coordinator at the booth on our way out. I noticed that Todd was there. I think we actually saw him talking to, might have been Pixel Dan actually. He was talking to a notable toy YouTuber. Excuse me if it's not Pixel Dan, but it was somebody in that echelon of toy YouTubers, and I just noticed that he was there. And far be it for me to be the one to, you know what, I'm gonna quote our friend Zombie Sailor. You miss all of the shots that you don't take. So I had to say something, and yeah, they told us to come back. At that point, it was like a 2-hour wait. Our legs felt like they were going to fall off. We were actually ready to go home after that booth tour, and we found stuff to do with the next 2 hours because we were certainly going back to talk to the Todd Father himself, a man who has been, to call him a luminary in both the comics industry and toy industry would be an understatement. I mean, the guy is he's toy.
He's a legend.
Yeah, he's toy royalty. I mean, if you have not watched on Sci-Fi, it's available on demand. Definitely watch the documentary. I think it's called Like Hell I Won't.
And to call
It's
him just
fantastic.
toy royalty is like, comic book royalty, toy royalty.
Yeah, I mean, the guy, not only is he the creator of Spawn, but he's the creator of Spider-Man's modern spider webs. He's the co-creator of Venom. The art that he's done is so iconic. It's just, you know what? Just roll the part of the interview we're gonna play.
I've been talking about doing some crowdfunding stuff.
Yeah.
And so we're going to be doing what I call masterwork. We talked about it last year. And instead of talking about the theory of it, we're going to implement it. So the first one is going to be the Spawn. That page for Kickstarter will go up in about a month.
Okay.
But under the umbrella, which is masterwork, I can do the digitally remastered, with the Kickstarter is going back to the original Spawn from day one that put me on the map, and doing the cooler version of it, what I should have done if I only knew better. Although we'll do the retro packaging and all this stuff, and I'm going to re-ink it so it'll be like sort of, retro chic, kind of cool. And then if you like it, I can do the whole series because there were 6 of them. I can redo all these characters.
You mean when we like it?
Yeah. But it also will allow me to do the 7th figure. If you bought 6, I'll do the 7th figure of Tortured Soul, and the 7th figure of the Dragons, McFarlane Dragons, the 7th figure of you bought 6, I'll do the 7th figure of Movie Maniacs, or the 7th figure of Twisted Oz, or whatever it is that I had done that put me on the map those first 5-10 years.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to go back, and I'm going to go, thank you for your patience. It only took me 20 plus years, but I'm going to, if you still have your collection, I'm going to give you another one that will go seamlessly into those other 6, because I'm going to match the packaging and the style of it, and it's going to go in. Not the Spawn that I'm doing where I'm doing a digitally remastered. I can do better, but like some of the stuff that came out a little bit later, like the Dragons, I'm quite proud of those even today. They hold up.
Yeah.
Right? I'm just going to add another dragon to it.
I'm realizing I could have picked literally any part of that interview.
As a matter of fact, you did.
Yeah. It doesn't matter. The whole interview was amazing. If you go back and listen to our Toy Fair recap, our 2020 Toy Fair recap episode, you're gonna hear from Mike DeCamp. You're gonna hear from wrestlers like Kenny Omega and Adam Page from AEW. You're gonna hear from Brickmaster herself, Amy Corbett from Lego Masters, and she's incredible. But you're going to hear a full length interview with Todd McFarlane talking to 2 guys from New Jersey that literally wandered into his booth got extremely lucky. He loves to talk. He is full of information. He's full of energy. He is like 12 years old at heart at all times, it seems. Yeah, just I still can't believe that was what, February? We had been a podcast for a couple months, a few months.
5?
Yeah. And like had a couple hundred followers at that point on Instagram, which is kind of like our main place again. And McFarlane just as a whole didn't care. We were there, we had the media pass, we wanted to talk to him. They gave us the time of day, and it was a shot in the arm for us because it really they took us seriously, and that still to this day means a lot. I think about that interview. I think about all the stuff over the years that I've owned. I'm looking around my office now. The non-modern Spawn and McFarlane pieces I have that I still hold like near and dear. The fact that we were sharing a table with that man is still something that's really cool to me.
Yeah, and it was cool. That was where we heard about the Kickstarter, and now that's a thing that we very much get to look forward to.
Yep, November can't come fast enough. First of all, I'm ready for 2020 to be done. Let's put that shit in
At
the
this
rearview
point,
mirror.
everything can't come fast enough. Like anything.
Yeah, anything that's good. I'll take anything that's good. Well, Dave, it's been a hell of a year, and we have so many exciting things to look forward to for the next few episodes coming down the pipeline. We're working on some really cool stuff.
We've got some ideas for other cool stuff. Who knows if it'll actually work out, but
if there and this we're gonna put a call out to you. If you've made it to this point in this episode of the podcast, we want to hear from you. We want to know what you think. We want to know what you want to hear from us, what you want to see us do, what you want to see us do with our YouTube channel, the stuff that you want us to talk about on the show, the stuff you want to see on Instagram. We want to know what you like, because we love talking about toys. We love all aspects of it. But if there's something that we're missing or something that you think that we should be covering that we're not, something that you think is super cool, reach out to us. Let us know.
When do you think we should actually do the road trip toys episode? Let us know.
Yeah. But yeah, thank you to each and every one of you who has listened, who has commented, who has liked, who has subscribed, who has
to everybody who called in today.
A big thanks once again to Joe Azari, who has lent his voice time and time again for this podcast on numerous episodes.
Thank you to our families who put up with this.
Yeah, big thanks to my wife and daughter who clear the area for me to record videos of me unboxing toys and to record this podcast.
To my girlfriend who said, "Yeah, it sounds like fun. You should do it." And who sometimes goes, "Yeah, I always, try to make a sweep through the toy aisle to see if any of those names on your list are there."
But yeah, most of all, thanks to you guys. Thanks to the people that listen. We probably wouldn't still be doing this a year in if nobody paid attention. We'd go back to just having our private conversations. So we're glad you enjoy them.
Yeah, whether you've stumbled upon the show because someone you follow on Instagram has been on.
Thanks for sticking around.
Yeah,
and
thanks for joining us for this year. And to quote Heather's boyfriend, here's to at least one more.
Cheers to that. Here's to at least one more.
That's going to be the subtitle. Here's to at least one more, if we ever make shirts.
Thank you, dear listener, for hanging out with us today. Subscribe, rate, and review us wherever you listen, and then tell your friends to do it. Thanks also to Joe Azari, the golden voice behind our intro. Our music is Game Boy Horror by the Zombie Dandies. Find more about them both in our show notes.
Follow us on social media at AIC_podcast on Instagram and Twitter. Stop by and say hi, show us your toy hauls, and share your toy stories. Maybe we'll talk about it in a future episode.
Don't try this at home. Void where prohibited and some assembly required. Each sold separately, not a flying toy. Consult a physician if your toy run exceeds more than 4 hours.
This has been a non-productive media presentation. Executive producer Frank Hablawi. This program and many others like it on the Non-Productive Network is distributed under a Creative Commons Attribution Non-Commercial No Derivatives license. Please share it, but ask before trying to change it or sell it. For more information, visit non-productive.com.